The Random Jottings of Donald J. in Nelson in Pendle, Lancashire. Colne Hall.The ghostly apparition. Once upon a time, in the small town of Colne, there was a haunted mansion known as Colne Hall. The mansion was located near Albert Road and was infamous for its ghostly manifestations. One of the most peculiar hauntings was that of a petite shade, which appeared to be that of a young girl from a Victorian poorhouse. The locals believed that the girl had lived in the poorhouse during the 19th century and had died at a young age due to the harsh living conditions. She had been buried in an unmarked grave, and her spirit had remained trapped within the walls of Colne Hall ever since. The ghostly apparition was said to appear in the late hours of the night, usually when the moon was full. She would appear in the form of a misty figure, dressed in rags and with a look of sadness on her face. Some people had reported hearing her weeping softly, as if mourning her untimely death. Despite the haunting, the owners of Colne Hall refused to sell the property. They believed that the ghostly presence added to the historical value of the mansion and that it was a part of the town's cultural heritage. One day, a group of curious teenagers decided to sneak into the mansion to investigate the haunting. They had heard the stories of the poor girl and wanted to see if they could make contact with her. They arrived at the mansion late at night, armed with candles and a board. As they made their way through the dark halls of the mansion, they suddenly heard a faint weeping sound. They followed the sound until they reached a small room at the end of the hallway. The room was bare except for a small wooden trunk. One of the teenagers bravely approached the trunk and opened it. To their surprise, they found a diary inside. The diary belonged to the poor girl, and it detailed her struggles and hardships during her time at the poorhouse. The teenagers were moved by the girl's story and realized that she was not a malevolent spirit but a sad one. After the discovery of the diary, the haunting at Colne Hall changed. The poor girl's ghostly presence was no longer felt in the mansion, and the townspeople believed that her spirit had finally found peace. From then on, the mansion was left to stand as a reminder of the past, and the locals would often visit to pay their respects to the poor girl who had once called it home. By Donald J.